We're now doing the next Mishnah, which is Biכורים Perik Aleph Mishnah Zayin, and we're continuing with the cases where the person brings the Biכורים but does not say the Kriya. This part of the Perik is dealing with the case of Havor V'not without any Kriya. We've had some examples already, and the Mishnah now continues. Hifrish Bikurov Umochar Sodehu. If the gentleman separated Biכורים and afterwards he sold his field to somebody else, then Mevi V'eno Koire. The person who sold his field can no longer do the Kriya because he can't say it's my land anymore. He's got rid of the land, and since he has, however, separated the Biכורים, he will have to bring them, but he can't say the Parsha. V'hasheni, and the purchaser, me'oso hamin eino mevi, he cannot bring any Biכורים from the same type of fruit which the first one has already dealt with, but mimin ache mevi v'korib, he can bring from other fruits. So, for example, if the vendor had dealt with grapes, then the purchaser can no longer bring the grapes, but if he had figs from the crop, he could bring those instead. Now, though that sounds amazingly simple, it's not, I'm afraid, because it all depends on different situations. Firstly, if the first chap had intended to sell his field, that's fine. The Mishnah makes sense, because it meant that when he first separated his Biכורים, there was no intention of ever actually having to do a Kriya, because he had the intention of selling them, so that the fruit was only harvested in order to bring without any Kriya. However, if lechatchila, when he first did it, he had no intention of selling it, therefore the fruit that he separated really was separated for the purposes of proper Biכורים and having a Kriya. Therefore they were niru. That means they were brought lechatchila with the idea of having a Kriya. Then, according to what we said in previous Mishnayos, the situation would be that they would not be able to be brought anymore, because once they were niru lekriya and then couldn't have it, they would just have to sit and rot. And therefore we can only deal with the situation in this Mishnah, which would be talking about a case where he intended to sell them at the outset. Now, we've already said that the Rambam disagrees with that halacha, and he says that in fact, if they were, even if they were niru lekriya, it doesn't matter. We don't hold of that din, and it's in any case of the Biכורים, whether they were separated with the intention of being subsequently sold or without, you can still do. They still have to be brought without a Kriya. So, according to the Rambam, the Mishnah is exactly as it stands, mevi v'eno koire, in all cases. However, according to the other opinion, which is that once they've been niru lekriya, you can't bring them all together, the Mishnah can only be talking in a case where he intended originally to sell the property. Now, the other chap is called the sheni. V'hasheni. It could have just been called the lokeach. Why do we say sheni, the second man? It's an unusual way of describing a purchaser. But the point of describing him in this way is to teach us actually that it's because he's the second. You cannot bring Biכורים twice for the same land. A man can't bring his Biכורים twice, nor can the land from which it's come have the second shot at the Biכורים. And therefore the Mishnah says, V'hasheni me'oso, I mean the second person cannot bring from the same produce. However, mimin acher, If it is from other produce, as we said just now, then it's okay. The person who brings the Bikurim, the purchaser, can bring from other fruit because you're not bringing twice from the same fruit. The Mishnah goes on to say, Rabbi Yehuda disagrees with this whole concept. The second person has got nothing to do with the first person. Therefore, if the second person buys the field, we start from scratch, and as far as the halacha is concerned, says Rabbi Yehuda, he can have a complete sale. The sale is complete, and he can bring his own bikurim completely again, even from the same particular min. It wouldn't make any difference because he holds that the purchaser and the vendor are two completely different people, and he can do so. Whereas the Chacham say no, you can only have one shot from the same field. There are different ways of learning that halacha, but it is worked out somehow or other from the Psukim, according to Chachamim, that there can only be one set of Bikurim brought from the same field. That I was talking about was that according to Tanna Kama, when we said that the second person can make can bring Bikurim from a different min, according to Chachomim, and he can actually even say the Kriya on a different min, that's provided that the owner has not actually made a Kriya already on the produce of this field. Because if he's already made a Kriya, then even the Chachomim would hold that it is impossible to make a second Kriya under any circumstances. Whereas Rabbi Yehuda would hold that the first person and the second person are completely different people, and what the first person did is irrelevant to the second person, and he would hold that the two people can each make a separate kriya, even though the one person can't make it twice, of course.